The day has finally come, almost, where Sony has decided to release their very own Elite controller to rival my beloved Xbox Elite controller. Sony, out of nowhere today, introduced the DualShock 4 back button attachment. I can't give them an A for the name, but I will give them a solid C for the effort. I am definitely going to be picking this up. It will launch here in the good old United States of America on January 23rd for an MSRP of $29.99. It will be released to other markets. Some of those details are listed in the blog, which I will post a link in the description box below. Some of those details have yet to be determined. But if you live somewhere outside America, there's a good chance you're going to be getting your hands on this thing by mid-2020. Just in time for the DualShock 5 and PlayStation 5 announcement, which we know is coming soon. All right, so what is the DualShock 4 back button attachment? Well, there are a lot of vendors who have made very, very similar pieces of tech, none branded by Sony until today. And what this is it's a small attachment that you snap into your controller. And it gives you two back paddles. They're calling them buttons. Most people call them paddles. You've seen these on the Elite controller, on Scuff controller. Xbox sells aftermarket mod kits to do this exact same thing. Sony has finally answered the call. It's going to come with two back buttons on the left and the right. It also comes with, in their own words, a high-fidelity OLED screen. And this will be reconfigurable with up to 3 separate profiles. So I've got some bigger pictures here because it's a little hard to tell what's going on from the press release. But basically, it's a small attachment that looks like this that snaps up into your DualShock 4 controller and allows you to have some functionality. So here's the front. It basically just adds a small little contour in the center. Now, something that I like about this product that I haven't necessarily seen on some of the other aftermarket solutions is it still maintains the two grips that you can hold. You can still put your hand here and here. A long time ago, you guys may recall when Xbox released their chat pad, which was a nice, big, solid keyboard, but it filled in the entire bottom of the controller, made it look like a big parallelogram. There was no individual grips. So I think this is important to note that the grips will remain, and you shouldn't have an issue snapping this into your favorite DualShock 4 controller. On the back is where you have this OLED screen that they're hyping up. And you'll have the buttons here, you know, your left and right, this giant paddle that you can press with most likely at least 3 of your fingers because it looks really, really big. Kind of disappointed that we only got 2 buttons. I feel like maybe they could have squeezed in 2 more based on how fat this is. You could have just basically broke that piece in half and had a top and a bottom button. But you know what? Beggars can't be choosers. I'll take what I can get, and this is what I get. So as I showed you guys, the box here with how it kind of looks placed on the controller, here's a little bit more detail. As I mentioned, you have the programmable buttons, which map up to 16 different functions. Now, not entirely clear yet if those functions are going to be some macro level. I highly doubt it. You're most likely going to map all of your primary controls, which would be your touchpad, your D, up, down, left, right, your 4 face buttons, your 4 trigger buttons, your share, your options. That's getting you pretty close to 16. I don't see this actually being some sort of programmable macro thing, but that'd be cool if it was, but I don't think it's going to be that. The OLED screen is going to tell you what profile you have on and what buttons you have mapped. That's the other reason I feel it will not be a macro, because there's not a whole lot of real estate there for text. It looks like just a little tiny area to put a little R1 or a little L1 or a little D-pad up 1 symbol. It will also allow you to plug in a wired headset, which will be included as a jack on the bottom, but it does not include a separate charging dock. So if you want to charge your DualShock 4, you will have to remove this attachment and plug your USB cable. Oh, no, you won't. Thinking of another. I'm sorry. It charges on the top. You don't even have to worry about that. It charges on the top. I'm thinking of something else. I'm sorry. Yeah, so it's going to basically have a pass-through for the cable, which is nice. Now, there are some negatives here. I think, as I mentioned before, we're only getting two buttons on the back. We could have easily gotten 4. And I do call into question the battery life. Now, my DualShock 4 lasts me anywhere from 4 to 5 hours. I do have the LED set to dim, so I know I'm saving some battery life there instead of it being on bright. If this OLED is always on, it's going to drain your battery faster. Now, it might be a minuscule amount, but it's time that you're going to have to spend recharging that you probably don't have to. And it doesn't really add any value having a screen on the back because you're never really going to turn around, what's my button again? You're going to be playing, right? So not thrilled on the OLED thing. I think they probably could have got that price point down a little bit more if they decided to do this with the software inside the actual console and instead of on this little touchpad thing here, but that's okay. Those are the negatives. And I put a plus minus here in the middle, and this I'll close out the video with this. Why now? I've been asking for this forever. Really, ever since my beloved DualShock, or my beloved Elite controller came out. And I'm like, wow, Microsoft really figured out what gamers want. We want a nice, high-quality, first-party, exclusive controller. And Microsoft has done very, very well, although there are some build issues, and I have talked about that in the past. I love my Elite controller. It is still easily the best purchase I have ever made in terms of video game peripherals. It is just phenomenal in every sense of the imagination. PlayStation finally entering this market really on the last year of the PlayStation 4, entering into PlayStation 5. Hopefully this is maybe a test bed for them, and if the critical response is successful, as I mentioned, I've already got one ready for me to go. When the day comes, I will definitely do a unboxing and reaction video on that. But this is a good test bed, right? Could we see a Pro DualShock 5? Is it in the horizon? Is this just a test? Or does this work with DualShock 5 and I could just carry it over? Are they going to refine this design with additional paddle buttons to make it a true competitor to the Elite? These questions beg to be answered. But if you are interested, you can pick up your very own. I will post a link in the description box below. Leave a comment while you're at it. Let me know your thoughts on this, hopefully, amazing piece of technology. With that, I'd like to close out this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.